Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download here in the Bojangles Studio. It's Tuesday, a little dirty air this morning. We're going to cover the Talladega race, everything going on in the sport, and Tyler Reddick, our winner, is going to call in, tell us all about it. I'm excited to get this show going, so let's go. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. So back in the Bojangles Studio for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download now through May 5th. Speaking of Bojangles, have you got any of those free bird dogs by using that promo code Dale Jr.? If you place your order at Bojangles.com on the website there or in the app, there's participating stores that will give you these free bird dogs with the promo code Dale Jr., D-A-L-E-J-R. Go online and get those bird dogs while they're hot.
Yeah.
That was a good read right there.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Good. Wednesday, we have a pretty cool guest coming in here for that show tomorrow. Casey Atwood, man, I've been wanting to talk to him and reading up about what he's been up to. Not only we're going to learn a lot about his history in the sport and everything he went through, but he's still out there driving laps. I love that. You know, can't get it out of the blood.
Yeah,
can't stop. So we'll see what Casey's been up to. When we dug into, what we could learn about him, I mean, the first thing or the last thing that we could find was an article 10 years ago with Marty Smith. The great Marty Smith.
We haven't really heard from him since.
So this will be nice.
Not Marty, Casey.
Yeah. So looking forward to that tomorrow, but let's go ahead and get right to some dirty air. Let's see. Let me get my notes out here for our personal stories.
I saw an old man yells at cloud.
Oh,
note,
yeah.
so.
There were a few of those last week. That's been a fun little, I guess, segment, right? So I was driving around the other day. Surely you guys have seen this. These guys taking these 4x4 pickup trucks and dropping the back down, raising the front. What
Carolina
is all that
squad.
about? Is that the Carolinas? It's
That's
only
what they call
It's
it.
only in the Carolinas.
I'm sure
I'm
that
seeing this
stupidity's
everywhere.
all over the place,
Yeah.
but yeah,
What is that?
it's dumb.
What is that?
It's awful.
You guys are young. Y'all are into that.
I ain't that. No, that's just.
No, that's
stupid.
y'all's thing. What's going on with that? Tell me why y'all are doing that.
Andrew seems like the kind of person that would do that.
Yeah.
You're messing up. Do you know that the universal joints, the drive shaft, all the rear suspension, the toe, the alignment in the front, all that's getting jacked up, right? You know that? You know you're gonna have issues. You know the universal joint's coming out of that truck in about 4 years. Do you know that? You know that you're probably knocking the rear seal out of the transmission and the crankcase or the 4x4 crankcase. You know that? Yeah.
Not
You
until
don't know
now.
that? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks sick.
But
I look so
what
cool.
a bad thing to do to your car or your truck.
I think it's awful.
I'm sorry,
It
man.
makes me sick.
Yeah. I don't. It's these are 4x4s.
I don't understand how they see because they're up straight and
It is.
it's bad.
It's pretty bad.
They made it. It's illegal.
It's got to be
Some
bad
people,
for gas
I
mileage,
guess it has
too.
been made illegal, but I still see them.
Oh yeah.
Who thinks that looks good?
Not me.
They do.
Who's they?
The 4x4
I would
people.
love to meet one person that thinks that that's a attractive looking car or truck. And really,
I don't know that I'd want to meet that person.
No, I mean, I'm look, man.
From a distance, you'd
I'm
like to meet him.
I'm open to hearing their take on why this is a cool thing or why they did this to the truck. Or I'm open to hearing like what.
Are you willing to be convinced if you hear a good enough answer?
I doubt that I'll be convinced that I'm gonna like it, but yeah, I'll give them a chance to explain what it is about that. A lot of times, listen, man. I mean, I'm trying to think of why you would want to do that to your truck, and other than that, just for fun,
I think that's it.
right? But
There's no practical reason
Yeah.
behind it.
a lot of times, like when you're that age, right? Put yourself back in. We're going to assume large majority of the people that are doing this are anywhere from 16 to 20, 24 years old, right? 22, right?
Right.
That sort of, coming out of high school, going into college. What are you worried about at that point in your life, right? You're worried about girls,
Yeah.
right? Everything's about like I'm wearing this and I'm doing this and everything is geared toward because I believe this makes me more attractive. You think that's why they're doing it to the trucks?
100%.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
So girls like it?
I think one girl said she liked it, and she probably was like the prettiest girl in school, and so every other guy at that school did it, and it just started spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
So
There had to be a trend. Like there was probably a trend back in high school that was like that.
I'm not convinced girls like it because I look back at the stuff that I did and wore thinking that I was making myself more attractive to girls, and I was not. And my wife will tell me, like, when she sees pictures, she's like,
Like, what were you
no
doing?
girl, I'm just saying, like, the pants I
Just,
wore,
like, different styles.
shirts,
The
whatever,
frosted
hat,
tips.
the way I wore a hat or whatever,
Yeah.
the way I had my hair, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was absolutely the way I needed it, right, to be able to attract a female. And my wife will look at it and go, this is awful. No girl likes this. You were hurting your chances, right?
At least
I
she's
think
honest.
this is also the case with the trucks.
I don't think that they're getting any compliments from girls. I think it's only dudes that are coming up and going,
Yeah.
nice squat, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
truck.
I think
There's no
that's the
girl
thing.
that's doing that.
I think that's the thing. It's
No.
like they're not getting the girls, but the guys like it. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, girls must like it
Hyping
too.
each
then,
other
right?
up.
Nice
Like, yeah.
squat, dude.
Okay. So, yeah, so so they're raising their sort of their profile with their buddies, right? Because they get,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm just curious about it. I see it, and I'm like, God, I'm not sure what's going on here and what this is all about. Because a 4x4 truck, man, for years and for decades, it's all about getting bigger tires and getting higher.
Right.
Right? Raising it up, getting bigger tires. Now we're dropping them? Wait. You're going to get high side that thing, get stuck somewhere. Right?
Yeah. Not practical
That's
at all.
not good. No, not functional anymore.
What do you mean your truck got stuck?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
squatted over this rock and
Yeah.
couldn't get off.
I don't know. I just worried about that, man. I don't know what's going on. There's no way that trend lasts, right?
I hope not.
There's no way.
They're trying to outlaw it, so
Well,
it's
yeah.
obviously stupid. Like,
Well, if they outlaw it, that's probably going to encourage
I know.
it, and so that's probably going to make it last longer than it should.
So you hating on it right now is gonna make people want it even more.
I don't know. Yeah.
Nah.
So you gotta encourage it.
You think my influence of hating is going to work
Like
against
people
me?
people are gonna rebel.
Really?
It's like
Am
when-
I that in that place in my life?
a young-
where people are not. I've been forever. It's been like, oh, they'll like it. I like it.
I mean, yeah, a young
So
you,
now
though.
I'm shifting into, oh, Dale likes it. I don't like it anymore.
I don't know. If you're the old man yelling at the cloud,
I am.
then I don't
Yeah.
know. People might rebel against that.
Yeah. All right. Well, oh, I guess we should say too, just so you know, not in the next month, but very soon, I'm going to go to another location and do this show. And so, for the audio people, you won't really miss a beat, but for video, I'll be in a different room. We should let them know. Be prepared.
Oh man,
We've been working
that
on it.
it's gonna be a culture shock the first time they see it.
I'm just going to be on
Thanks-
I'm
thanks
going
for-
on vacation for a couple months. And so at least that's my plan. Unless somebody tries to fill my calendar up with stuff to do, which is really what everybody tries to do. But I'm going to go I'm going to take a summer, at least mainly the month of June, and go do this show from another location. And I will wish I was in this room in this chair with you guys, but that's what we're going to do. So be ready.
Thanks for telling me now, because I can start mentally preparing.
Well, me and
I was
you,
getting a little
we
worried.
have all been sort of, testing the equipment,
Yeah.
making sure everything's going to work right. The great thing about that, I think, for people to look forward to is, so there's a lot of guests that we haven't had on the show because they can't get to the room, right? We're not doing Zooms anymore, right? We're not a show except for on our Tuesday winter call-in. We don't do a lot of video and remote conversations. I like them here at the table, but since I'm going to be out of town, we're going to have some guests on our show that we wouldn't normally have because we'll be doing them remotely.
Some pretty cool guests.
Some pretty cool guests,
Yeah.
which is going to be neat. That'll be fun. Anyhow, so we got that to look forward to. Let's go and move on to Talladega. Like I said, Tyler Reddick's going to call in, tell us all about how he drove through all that nastiness on the last lap. to win the race. His experience with Michael Jordan as Michael's able to celebrate that win. Really cool to see. And you're seeing one of the great things about all of that is you're seeing NASCAR being talked about in other places that we traditionally don't go. And old places we used to go, right? Because of Michael Jordan. You know, the influence that he has, you can't measure it. The value of having him as an owner. We all talked about that for the last couple of years, right? How important that is. But now we're realizing that value as a winning owner. Imagine if Michael Jordan's car wins the championship one day, all right? And we have him on stage giving an owner's speech.
I'm here for it.
What a day that would be. So I think we all are. And it's interesting, man, talking to, listening to some of the conversations in the industry, how a lot of people, like Tyler maybe even, know him mainly by the shoes, man, and not the game.
So that's what
that is fascinating.
Tyler said in his post-race press conference that Bo, his son, who was held, like Michael Jordan was holding him on pit road, he said he knows him as the shoe guy and doesn't really know him as like the legend that he actually is.
That's
crazy.
That's wild.
That's insane.
Because, I mean, there's no, there's no debate about who was the greatest basketball NBA player of all time. It's Michael Jordan. And
I agree.
I'm a bit biased because of his connection to the Tar Heels and playing in North Carolina in his college career, but the guy was just magic. He transcended the sport, and unlike anybody ever has since, right? Nobody's the person that he was off the court, and how far that reach was, right? It's global. And so nobody's been able to do that. So I think that's why he's the greatest of all time. Who are we to be contemplating, that argument? But I'm pretty convinced nobody's going to change my mind. It's Michael Jordan. Anyhow, a lot going on this past weekend. There was the scoring pylon conversation going on about the old pylons coming down. There's been a lot of talk about that. And there was initially a lot of reaction of, oh, my God, I can't believe they're doing this. But then Jeff Gluck and the guys get to the bottom of it and discover how all of these pylons are obsolete. And when they fail, when they break, their parts aren't available to fix, and they're expensive. And putting up a new pylon, that's a possibility. And if track wants to invest in that, that's fine. I think pylons are great. I think that they add to the vibe at the racetrack, And while I would say this, so Talladega's scoring, it wasn't really a pylon so much. I didn't like that one. I remember that one wasn't very good. You couldn't read it.
Positionally, like where it was located?
All of it.
Yeah.
You couldn't read it. The damn bulbs and that lit the numbers up were so tiny and too small, and it was almost like you ever had a calculator that was like the battery's dying, and like the numbers were kind of fading, and you're like, oh my god.
Put it in the sun to get
yes. It was like that. And so, you know what? Talladega's, I won't miss it. I won't. Could they replace it with an LED screen that would give you all that information? Yeah, and they probably should. Will they? I don't know, but that's fine. I didn't love the one that was there. I won't miss it. I would the ARCA race was always going on during the day, or whatever it may be, and you'd come out of the bus or you'd drive into the bus lot, or we were moving in and around the infield, going to appearances or whatever it may be, and you look at that thing and go, I can't freaking read it. I can't, you'd look at it and have to really study it to understand what you're looking at and get, trying to figure out what, it was a pain in the ass. So bye-bye. See you later. I'm fine with it. Now the one that's like at Texas, that type of pylon at that size of a racetrack in that location is necessary.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. That one probably they should consider, something coming back there. When you look at the one in Indianapolis, and Texas is owned by Marcus Smith. He put in an incredible pylon at North Wilkesboro Speedway. They could have just left that old busted up pylon there and not even refurbished it or took it down entirely. But they put an LED screen there, complete with the old rust marks and all that stuff, and so they know they will do the effort when they see the value, and we'll see what they do at Texas. So I think at certain tracks, it's absolutely part of the atmosphere. It's an important addition and necessary addition to a racetrack. I would say that compare this to the Flagman, right?
Yeah.
We're moving into the future. And we're making things more automated. We're making things easier and less expensive. NASCAR has multiple flagmen on payroll. They could absolutely have a big giant block at the flag stand that was an LED light that lit up whatever color, green, red, yellow, and take that flagman out of that flag stand entirely, right? But that flagman is so critical to the DNA of motorsport, right? You would never do that. NASCAR's not going to do that. That's a bit extreme of a comparison, but that's the way I kind of feel about the pylon in certain instances. The pylon itself is a staple, much like any kind of a it's almost a historical monument style vibe with it, right? At certain racetracks, it's not a racetrack without it. And so I would say at Texas I would try to put something back in its place comparable. At Talladega, with such a large infield, you need to do something a little more creative if you're going to replace what was there. What was there wasn't functional, didn't work for me, and it was outdated, and I won't miss that one. But
so what you're saying there is kind of what NASCAR was thinking for Talladega. I saw on Twitter, Toby Christie tweeted, like, he talked to a NASCAR representative, and the decision was to invest in more video boards around the track so more of the crowd, especially those infield campers, could see some sort of scoring, some sort of replay.
We'll see. We'll see what they end up putting back there. It's such a giant infield. Honestly, man, you saw all of the, when you think about Talladega, I think about the boulevard, the partying. People come to that race for the party, for the hell-raising, as much as the race itself.
Yeah.
Right? The race is really the dessert. The main course is the experience, the 3 or 4 night experience of being in that environment, partying every single day, drinking beer, roaming around and seeing the sights and looking at everybody's creativity of their campsite and what they've decided to do. People build out entire elaborate sort of setups, right? That there used to be a guy, I don't know if he's still there, but there was somebody that would set up a bar. You paid money to go in. There was a cover. And
insane.
Everybody in the infield would go into this tent, right, and drink. And they had a bar and servers. And so
employees, they were
yeah. I mean, listen, man. They had a flatbed with some ladies dancing on it. We saw that video, right? That wasn't happenstance. There's somebody probably playing that. There was an establishment that was local to the area that decided to.
The Gluck and Bob Pocker's tweet up looked a little bit different.
There's like a agenda behind all of that, right? And so instead of worrying about this scoring pylon at Talladega specifically, for years, right? They built this big open area, big bill, sort of
like the infield
in the garage area.
Yeah.
In the garage,
right?
So it's an open air food court, for fans that and it's at the garage, right? It's a little bit too close to the work for me. Like, I love the access, and if I'm a fan and I want to see what's going on in the garages, which there's not a whole lot these days, it's kind of a cool place. But I really think they would have been better served, or might be better served in the future at Talladega specifically, to build out right real close to where this scoring pylon was, an infield bar, and try to capitalize on what's going on in that infield, man. I think that there's a financial, there's economical impact that could be positive for the racetrack if they were to try to better organize the party and the celebration that it is. Much like, Indy has the snake pit. If you go to Indianapolis, right, they got the snake pit, but they also have these other spaces on the property that are other concerts, other area. If you're not a snake pit type of person, if you don't want to go and get into that craziness, there's other places for you to go and see other entertainment, right? And I think Talladega could capitalize on that. And they need to. They when you go to the infield at Talladega, there's a large grassy spot right in the middle of the racetrack that they don't camp. There's nothing there.
That's your spot.
Blank spot, right? It's a canvas ready to be carved up and create. Something can be created there. And I don't think it'd be that expensive, to be honest with you, to build it out.
I feel like it'd end up paying for itself almost.
Yeah. And would give fans somewhere to go that would be out of the sun, somewhere for them to, they have that big giant concert, which is really kind of cool, right? Every year they have this big concert at Talladega that's important. It's part of the weekend. It rivals the race in terms of popularity for the fans. They are very opinionated about the guests or the musical act that's going to play. Better be big, better be important, better be the new, latest, and greatest, right? And so they need to continue to try to, get creative with the fan experience in the infield before they worry about spending, a couple $1 million on a pylon.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Gluck in The Athletic on the teardown said a new pylon costs $5 million.
Yeah. And they talk about the boulevard being crazy. The boulevard's got nothing on free camping. I'm going to promise you that. I used to hang out back in the day. I used to hang out with some boys from Alabama that went to free camping, right? And that they weren't they weren't well off enough to be going into the boulevard. They were the free camping boys. And the stories out there and the things that you hear about, it's crazy.
It's even more lawless.
Craziness. Oh, yeah.
Would you have liked to have seen them keep the pylon up even if it didn't work, like as a relic? Similar to North Wilkesboro.
So I wouldn't. At Texas, no.
Okay.
At Talladega, no.
So you want it to be functional or?
Yeah.
No, okay.
I think so.
That's fair. This is the question.
I'll be honest with you, man. I think if it doesn't work, either replace it or take it down.
Right.
If at Talladega, man, no, I'll be honest with you. At Talladega, not a lot of people can close their eyes and imagine what that thing looked like. I can't even do it. It's not memorable.
That's a good point.
And it wasn't very functional. It's not memorable. Right? So, yeah, don't waste your time leaving that thing up. Now, if it's iconic and you're used to seeing it there, and if it were to be gone, you would immediately notice.
Right.
Then maybe you want to leave that one up, or, remodel it to the LED side, type of deal where like Indianapolis did. But that's a lot of money.
It. They killed it.
They did. They did. But theirs is very, very important.
Yeah.
In Pylons, that's the Pylon.
Right.
Right, at Indianapolis. That's the one all Pylons strive to be. It is. Yeah. Some just don't make it.
They don't.
Nope. And, again, Texas, I think, got damaged by some storms. You have that happening, and at least I think maybe that was Atlanta or Texas, one of them.
Did you see the tweet from Dover yesterday?
Yeah.
They have
said,
a pylon.
Excited to use this weekend. And it was the picture of their pylon.
Yeah. Their pylon's important.
Mm-hmm.
So at Dover, I mean, when qualifying was happening, you're staring at that thing. Staring at it. Especially if you put your number on it, you're like, oh, somebody beat me. Damn it. You know, you're looking at that pylon. I mean, you just don't know how much you're looking at it until it's gone. So I'm pro pylon. I am.
It's a t-shirt.
But hey, you know, there's a sensible conversation to be had around it. But I didn't jump into the initial reaction on Twitter because I've made that mistake before, where getting all up in arms. That's why I love this show happening on Tuesday. If we did this show yesterday,
oh man,
I would just be complaining the entire time. But it gives me a little bit of time to rest, relax, calm down. Let's get on into, I guess, you know, we can talk about fuel mileage and fuel saving. You know, I think that, you know, we can talk about that all we want. The teams have, like Denny said, the teams are telling him to do this. His crew chiefs. Denny's like, I want to race. Crew chief's saying, back it down, save more fuel, save me more fuel. The teams have all this information telling them, man, like, they can calculate that fuel mileage. They know how hard Denny's mashing the gas and all that stuff, right? And so they know when they need him to save more, and they know how much he needs to lift and how much he's got to lift until they're happy with it. I don't love that. I don't love the fuel mileage racing. I don't think anybody does. Hear a lot of ideas on how to fix it. Adding another stage, I don't love that. But might be all we can do.
What about shortening the race?
Don't love that.
To like 400 miles from 500.
So, that's like giving me less candy bar. That's like giving me less tater chips in the bag. You're pissing me off. Stop it. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of.
No, it is. That's what it is, Andrew.
Okay.
Andrew,
that's the
I
answer.
bought a bag of tater chips. You do this? You ever done this? You buy a bag of tater chips and you open it up and you're like, this shit ain't half full. This is a crime.
I've had that experience
it's a crime,
before.
Man. Don't give me less race. Oh, our race, we don't like our race, so let's just do less of it.
Would you rather have, so like on Actions Detrimental, they talked about like the idea of like, what if we did a 400-mile race? And Denny, so I was thinking about this yesterday. If the fuel window is 40 to 41 laps, you could do a 150-mile race, which I think maths out to 400 miles, 40, 40, 70. Yeah. You pit after each stage, and you have to pit at least once in the third stage, and you're not really focused on the fuel window, and you're getting aggressive racing the whole time. I feel like that would be better.
That's a way to get that. That's a way to get that, but I don't think you have to shorten the race. Why don't you just put enough stages in there to get that solution that you want, to where the guy – basically what you're telling me is you want the guys to not have to worry about fuel mileage, run as hard as they can to the end of the stage, right, without having to pit. So just add another stage. Don't take away racing. Don't shorten.
But you just said you don't want to add another stage.
Well, don't – if you're giving me the choice between taking away – candy bar, shortening up my candy bar, right, or taking chips out of the bag versus adding another stage, I'm going to say just f***ing add the stage, man. I don't want less racing. Okay. I don't want less racing.
And I don't think the stages really change. Like, okay, so then they run all out and they can't pass. Then they're just running 2 by 2.
Sure.
All right. Let me ask you a question.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
Look, what do we want? We want exciting racing, right? We don't want less racing. We want more racing.
But if the less racing gives you better racing,
I don't think it does. Though.
I don't think it does.
They're just gonna run around 2 by 2, and then it's the
in
same
that
thing.
case. In that case, if that was the case, then we'll just have a 20-lap race. Perfect.
I mean,
What a brawl that would be.
You need more than that.
Why?
I mean,
it was exciting. You liked it.
Sure. I still think you need substance. I'm not asking for a whole to be taken a whole lot away. This is 100 miles.
Let's have this conversation. Don't back down. Don't back off.
Okay, so
do you love racing?
Yes, I do.
How much of it do you want? A lot?
I still think 400 miles is a good amount.
Why? What the hell, 400? You just pick that out of thin air?
Well, 400's a pretty standard number, I feel like, in the Cup Series.
The series?
We have 500-mile races, 400-mile races.
600.
600?
Most all races should be 500 miles. That is like our benchmark.
Really?
Yes. Now, look, there's some examples where we should not run 500 miles, like Pocono, Dover. I mean, there's some examples where 400 miles makes more sense. Not at Talladega, not at Daytona. I mean, I think they run the 400 in July to separate it from the Daytona 500 so you don't have two Daytona 500s. I get that. But at Talladega, there's no need to if you love racing and I could sell you exciting racing, you would buy as much as you could get because you love it. It is your favorite freaking thing, right? And so let's make the racing as good as we can make it and not have less of it. I just don't buy that argument. Like, I don't like, and I've been a driver. And I've said this very thing. I don't like to hear drivers talk about shortening races. I don't think drivers, I don't want to hear drivers first. Like, if a fan's watching a race, right? We get 100, say you got 150, 200 fans in a room, and they're all saying, this is too dang long. Then I'm thinking about shortening the race up because they're the ones that are watching it, right? If a fan says, man, I want more of that. I want a 600-mile race at this track. This is awesome. Then we're going to make it 600 miles. Sorry, drivers. No, you don't love running 600 miles. You'd rather run 400. That's too bad. So I don't want to hear from drivers about shortening races. I used to be one. I used to say that. I used to talk about shortening races. So I should know. Drivers don't have any business.
You were
talking about it.
You're one of those people.
I know. So I can talk. So I can speak about it today and tell you that we don't need to listen to drivers about race lengths. I'm sorry, we don't. And so even if, I feel like if you have the race that you prefer, right, that ultimately that is the best. That's the best result. And trying to, I think shortening a race to make it more exciting is a very lazy way to get there. And so the hard work and the hard way to get there is the way to go. The easiest route is not going to get us the result we want. So chopping off 40 laps of the race or whatever is a lazy way to to try to get the end result you want. I'd rather add a stage. I mean, why not? Stage racing's here to stay. We're not going to get rid of stages. I know the fans will say, I don't love the stages, but it's here. We're not going to be able to change that. Some races might need more stages. How cool would that be if, I hate this term, crown jewel, but what if the crown jewel races had more stages? Had more points available.
So that's kind of what Denny, he didn't like the idea of adding a stage because, that means Talladega all of a sudden is worth more than other races. Yeah. So it's like...
So he wants to shorten it?
He didn't really have a...
They were discussing the options, but he didn't like the idea of adding the stage because it would make Talladega more valuable.
I would take an entirely different route. I wouldn't change the length of the race. I would consider adding a stage because why not? I don't whatever. But so the fuel mileage and fuel saving is so important at that race because basically the only thing they do on pit road is put fuel in the car. You don't really have to change the tires because the tires are so good, so durable. The cars are locked down to the racetrack pretty good, so they don't really abuse the tire that much. And they're kind of limited. They're kind of restricted on speed, right? So they're not using that tire as hard as we used to use it back in the day. And so they also made changing the tire faster, right? And so that made fueling the car even more critical and something you want to do even less of, right? And so they're never going to be able to make you're never going to be able to make changing the tires, harder or slower. But if you needed to change them more often, that would bring you to pit road, and you would then have opportunity to put the fuel in the car because the driver's going to be begging for these tires, right? I can't make the moves and be aggressive with the wheel. I can't drive the car and do things I want, side drafting and all that, throw in the blocks without better tires. So put tires on my car. Then they're going to be putting tires on the car, putting fuel in it more often. Fuel savings is no longer a problem. So, I don't know that they'll, I think that what we may learn with the tire on the short tracks may be able to help us in this scenario as well. Can we get a tire that, it ain't going to have a lot of fall off because they're going to run around there wide open, but can you get a tire that does get a little uncomfortable in the pack? After a handful of laps, you're like, ugh, I got to work on the handling, and man, I need some tires to be more aggressive. So that would be helpful, I think. So, but as long as the crew chiefs are telling them to save fuel, it's kind of is what it is. It's not as much of a NASCAR problem as some things tend to be, right? This is more of a strategy that is kind of developed, right? This strategy is sort of developed. It is being encouraged by teams, by engineers, by crew chiefs, right? This is a response to how this car performs on pit road and on the racetrack. And so work on those things. Work on that. Sure. Chopping the race up doesn't fix why this is happening.
I don't know. I just feel like if they're, Denny said if they could get within a fuel window, they'd be running hard.
Yeah, they would.
Because stage points at the end of the day,
I get it,
are
at a stage. That's the easy route. At a stage. That's the easiest thing to do to fix it. But if you really want to fix it, at Talladega, Daytona, all these places, then they need to make the guys want to get down pit road more because they need tires, and then therefore getting opportunity to put the fuel in that they really don't care to put in the car no more than they need, right?
Would you I'm just thinking
and sorry, when there's another thing that makes them want to do this strategy. So when they do go hammer down in those last 30 laps, you are where you are. You can't pass. You can't pull out a line. The car has too much drag. So Kyle Busch has talked about this. Then he talked about it. So they're all in a line, and you don't want to be, right? I'm sitting there. We're in 15th place, all of us, right? Running around the racetrack, running in 15th. 30 laps to go. We don't want to be in 15th. You know what? It's time to make a move. Let's get out of line because we need to get a bunch of cars together and pull out a line. And we're going to go to the front. When you get out of line with this car, it's so draggy, you just drop to the back, right? And so you can't pull out of line.
How do they fix that?
You're in 15th with 30 laps to go, and you can't make any moves. You're scared to get out of the line because you're going to lose 15th. You're going to lose a lot of track position. Right? You saw the 54 Gibbs and them boys when they jumped up to the top. It's over for them.
Yeah.
Everyone sees that and they go, well, shit, I'm not going up there. So when we're hammered down with this car running wide open, our old cars could side draft and make runs and find air, and you could find people that see you moving forward and they would go, oh, I'm getting in that line. And then, you would make moves and could drive yourself to the front. That's not happening with this car. We see it at Daytona and Talladega. When they really get after it and go hard, it sort of forms two lines of cars, the entire field 2x2, and really the only thing happening is the front two cars kind of trading the lead position. And so we have, I think NASCAR could look into how to take some drag off the car, right, and how to figure out a way to make the car where you do want to get out of line. You're okay getting out of line. You're okay taking that chance because sometimes it might be productive to do it. But that's tough. That's tough to figure out. That is so tough to figure out. I don't envy the position that NASCAR's in. And to be quite honest, when they only ran that hard for the last 30 laps, you have such a small sample size to go from to try to figure out how to make any changes if you wanted to, right? There's a lot going on there. So let's say hypothetically we shorten the race or we add the stage, right? And we get this fuel, we take the fuel mileage out, and they can run hard, and they do, right?
Yeah.
Are we just going to see a 2x2 parade?
I mean, that's the problem.
Then,
I'm not arguing that part.
Well, wait. All right, so we've fixed the fuel mileage, but now we have the 2x2 parade that we don't love entirely either, right?
Right.
So now we're still not entirely where we want to be. So I think there's a little bit of work to do. I still think the race was exciting. I still am entertained, especially in those last handful of laps, trying to figure out who was going to do what and who could make something out of nothing, something literally almost impossible, right? It's trying to find their way toward the front in the middle of that pack. We get down to the last couple of laps, and Michael McDowell is leading the race coming off turn 4, right? And Brad goes to the high side, and Michael throws the block there. And then Brad goes to the bottom, Michael throws another block that ultimately gets him wrecked. So I saw Michael at the pickup line at the school. And I talked to him, and he said, man, tell me honestly what you think. What do you think I should do? And I said, honestly, I'm only going to throw one block. If that block doesn't work, you got me. If you watch the race where me and Jimmy Johnson get wrecked down the back straightaway by Vickers, I know they're making this move off of 2. I know it's coming. So we come off of the corner, and I know there's not much I've got in the toolbox to defend this. And so we come off the corner. They make a move to pass me, and I move down one lane. That was my block, right? And so I stopped at that. And that's pretty much the way I did it. I'm like, I'm going to throw one move, and if that move works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And the other car is going to win the race. And so that's what I tell Michael. I said, man, I can't throw that second block. I said, the second block is a ticket to get turned, right? You're asking for it. And he said, man, I had to. He's like, I was willing to die. And I'm like, willing to die? He goes, yeah. He said, I was willing to die the last 15 laps. And so he's like, look at my position in points. It's the only way I'm going to get in the playoffs. I've got to do everything I can. That was my moment. And I'm willing to risk the crash and whatever, the end result may be, flipping upside down, whatever, right? Destroyed. He knew with 15 laps to go that he was going to make that he was making that bet. All the chips are in. Whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, damn, dude, that was not me. I'm not willing. It ain't checkers or wreckers for me in that moment. I'm going to finish fourth or fifth. If the first block doesn't win me the race, fine. I'm going to run on across the line and not be massaging a sore neck the next day. So that was profound, man, to hear him say that. Like, he's like, hey, I decided with 15 to go that I was going to win that race or be destroyed. And I'm like, really? And he goes, I had to because I don't think I can get in. I don't think I can point my way in this year. I've got to win. That was my shot. Pretty crazy.
Gotta respect it.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
So I walked. I saw him and I thought to myself, damn it. I was very down on McDowell because it's like, all right, 2 blocks, man. That's too many. You throw the first one, and Brad will tell you, you block, you pay, and Brad will wreck you. You ain't even got to be blocking Brad to get wrecked by Brad. So he'll just push you out of the way. So I'm kidding, Brad. So that's the one guy you damn sure don't want to be throwing haymaker blocks on. But the other thing too was when he went up there to block the first time, Michael McDowell said that he got a great push from Brad. And so he thought that momentum would be enough to get back clear in front of Brad for the second block. But as Brad moved down, he then got a push from the car behind him as well. And Michael in his mind, and I know he's doing this because we all do it. Michael, as he's running that, as he's going through the travel and he's thinking about making this block, he's literally measuring in his head the distance between him and the cars around him, about to the inch, right? And he's like, he's feeling this run that he got from the 2 car or the 6 car. He's feeling this push, and he's like, that gave me 1.5 feet. That gave me 1 foot. I think coming down, I should clear. He's not counting on the push that he's getting, that Brad's getting, right? And that's where the misjudgment comes. But pretty amazing. NASCAR fans, FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is here. And right now, new customers, they get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet your first $5. Just go to FanDuel.com/Dale to sign up. Then you can bet on everything from individual race winners to prop bets to which driver's going to take home the championship, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. This week's race is at Dover for the NASCAR drivers. They tackle the tricky Monster Mile. I've won at this race before, and it's very, very hard to tame this track. It's tough, the high banks. And make sure you tune in to Dirty Modo each week, as they're going to give you all the insights that you'll need going into these weekends. Start your engines with $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you place your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/Dale to get started. FanDuel, authorized gaming operator of NASCAR. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. We told you that we had the winner of this weekend's race calling in. He is here. Tyler Reddick. Where's your voice?
I used it up on the radio, screaming my ass off.
Man, well, I love that. One of the coolest things about watching a race is seeing somebody, the winner, truly appreciate what they've done. What does winning? I know what this is. I know what the answer is. But what does winning at Talladega feel like? What is, because I know not so much like what does winning the race and how that race played out feel like, but like Talladega is hard to win. It's a unique racetrack, a special racetrack. Fans love it. The big parties. What's winning there feel like for you?
I've done it 2 different ways, right? When I won there in the Xfinity car, I had made some poor decisions in the opening laps of the race. I'd hit the fence, ripped the right side of it off, but our car was fast. And that one, like, I knew we were good enough to win. And so holding that one off and winning that one was really nice. I think it ended up being our first win of the year that year too. But this one was like, I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotions, right? Like we pit when we did as a group of Toyotas. And I mean, I look in my mirror and at the time I thought all of them were gone. So I was like, damn, that really stinks. I mean, there went our shot. And then I realized, oh, wait, we pitted, no one else had, so we're going to be right at the front. So I'm like, all right, well, we still have a shot at this. And as that race was like closing in, you know, me and Michael, I feel like, and Martin and Brad, we're all kind of just gauging, okay, who's got what, you know, and who's going to time it. And going down the back there, I thought, okay, we're in good shape. And then just the energy disappeared, really. It was a very odd sensation. It's just like we were going, and then me and Martin just kind of stalled out, and the bottom just took off. And I was like, well, damn, there it goes. That's our shot. It's gone. So I immediately kind of in my mind, because I know points are big and some big contenders went out and are having bad days. I'm like, all right, I just got to finish. If it's 5th, if it's 10th, I've got to finish. And coming out of 4, I didn't know how crazy it was going to get in front of me, but I mean, they got so wild in front of me. I'm like, oh my God, I just got to survive this wreck. And Michael goes crashing in front of me. And I mean, I didn't lift, but I did hit the brake. I didn't realize that, just reactionary. I hit the brake, and I don't think I clear Michael if I don't hit the brakes, just that little bit that I did. And as crazy as this sounds, I'm door to door with Brad, and I'm not even looking at Brad anymore. I'm looking at the lights on the fence. I'm like, oh my gosh, the lights are green. They're green. They're green. And then we got to the line. I'm like, holy crap, we just won this race. I couldn't believe it. I mean, not even 15 seconds ago, I thought our shot to win was gone. So in this situation, it was just a roller coaster of emotions because I thought I watched it slip away not even 15 seconds earlier.
Pretty incredible, man. The emotions that a driver goes through in a restrictor plate, I still call it that, but at the super speedways, the emotions that you go through in those final moments are so profound. You win the race, right? And I guess what is the first thing that you think about? Do you think about playoffs? Do you think about how hard this team's worked to get here? Do you think about Denny and Michael, your owners? What is your first? You think about your family, your son, them, your family witnessing what you're doing and being successful. What's the first thing you think about?
Well, there's a lot of things going through my mind, but selfishly, the first thing I think about is, the number of races already this year that have kind of slipped away. I feel like Chase Elliott stolen from us at Texas. So I was like, well, that was really sweet. We got one back. We stole one back. So for me, yes, we got 5 playoff points and it locks us in, but I know this team's good enough, even if we don't win races, to be a part of the playoffs. So, selfishly, that's the first thing that came to mind. Is like, all right, we got one back. We stole one back. But then, as I'm coming around the racetrack, that was a crazy finish. So, I'm just kind of taking in the moment with the fans. And then I didn't know if Bo was going to make that run out to the start-finish line. It's a little further away than it was at Daytona. But, I kind of lost my mind. I'll be honest with you. I thought my burnout was pretty pathetic. So I was like, well, damn, I need to do something to make up for it. So I'm like, I'll climb the fence. And I should have took my helmet off first because I couldn't really see where I was putting my feet coming back down. I got all the way up there, and I'm like, okay, this was fun. I'm going to climb back down. It was a really exciting moment to share with the fans. And on my way back down, my helmet's just so big, I can't see where my feet are. I couldn't feel if I was getting them in the holes of the fence. And every 4 or 5, motions and steps of going down, I'm like, all right, I can jump. And I look down, I'm still 8 feet from the bottom of the from the fence. I'm like, I can't jump yet. So there's about 3 or 4 times I feel like I about jumped and busted my ass. I'm glad I took my time getting back down. But yeah, getting over to victory lane and seeing my son. He came over to the car and congratulated me right away. I'm like, hey, buddy, you might want to cover your eyes or back up. There's about to be a lot of beasts going everywhere. Just don't get in your eyes. and then getting out of the car, celebrating that moment with the team immediately, and then turning around and Michael, Curtis, Denny, Bubba, my whole team being there. I think for all of us, it was just a huge moment because, everyone on the 45 team knows that we're really strong, and it's been tough. It's been hard on us to not capitalize on the speed we've already had this year with those wins. So it just felt really great to steal one back. Like I said, for us, that was I think why we were so happy. And then on top of that, I cross start finish line, I lose my mind. And then I hear Billy come on the radio and says, "Hey, we're taking MJ to victory lane." I was like, "Oh, he's here."
Yeah.
I thought there was a chance he'd be there, but I didn't see him before the race. So when I heard that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this finally happened. We're going to take him to victory lane."
Yeah. So that's my favorite thing about your win is that Michael was there and we got to see his true, genuine reaction to success in this sport. I grew up seeing his posters on the walls of all my friends, and this guy was just an icon and global, property that was just so recognizable. And it's insane to have him as a part of our sport, much less being successful in it. But I felt like we saw the genuine joy of him having success with you guys. What were some of the cool moments, I guess, that involved Michael in victory lane with you?
I mean, you got it. It was just his excitement level. It was very apparent from the moment I saw him how much this win meant to him, for him to be there, how much it meant to our team that he was able to share it with us. And I've even heard Denny talk about it, and Curtis and the others. Michael's so badly wanted to get to victory lane. So, it's not necessarily, the words exchanged were important and cool too, but the thing that was just so obvious to me right from the moment getting out of the car and seeing him is just how much this meant to him and how excited he was to share that moment with us. So I'm just glad, I'm happy that, it's really cool that I was the car that got to victory lane that day. But honestly, for me, my excitement level wouldn't be much different at all if it was Bubba driving the car to victory lane. It's just both of us, everyone here has been really wanting to take that trip to victory lane with him. And it's really, really cool. It happened at a place like Talladega because the range of emotions you go through as a driver, as an owner, as a competitor, behind the wall, jumping over the wall. A lot happens every single lap, especially on that last one, man. It's you go through everything, it feels like.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you quickly about the race, the fuel mileage saving and how much of that really is going on for you. What is your thought process as a driver throughout this? I mean, you're also trying to, score stage points. So what's the balance between racing, right, and also trying to position yourself for that end, being toward the front at the end when track position is critical? So, everybody's largely saying, yeah, just a lot of fuel mileage saving up until the end, but it's not really so much that, because the stages themselves dictate that you must compete to try to get those points available.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's a balance that shifts stage to stage and race to race. The crazy thing about this is I don't know if the fuel strategy isn't a part of our race at Talladega. I don't know if we have any movers, comers and goers, that sort of thing. I don't think you have the shakeups that you do in those stages. Cause you look at the end of that race, after, the Toyotas unfortunately crashed, and largely outside of, Josh Berry sliding up into the hole that Ty Gibbs left open, that when him and Kyle Busch went to the third lane, not much changed position wise. Michael would take the lead, have control of both lanes. But for the majority of the time, your front row was still the front row that last green flag run. So, I'm kind of torn on the whole thing. I don't enjoy going out there and saving fuel. But I feel like as a driver, you make a choice every single lap, or you make a choice at the beginning of your run, how you're going to approach it. And you're kind of gambling, right? You're going to gamble on how much fuel you save versus your track position you're giving up. So I feel like if that gets taken away, man, we're just going to be riding around out there 2x2, or, in a bottom lane and a middle lane, and there won't be a third lane ever. So kind of torn on the whole thing.
I agree with you. I was thinking about that before you got on. If if you watched the last 30 laps of the race, it was when everybody's full song and the cars are going as hard as they can go. There is no real. This car doesn't really provide an opportunity to do anything creative to move forward. You're kind of scared if you're sitting 12th, 10th, you or 15th. You really can't do anything. You don't have anything in the toolbox to get out and make a change, move forward, right? And so if we did do things to try to eliminate the fuel mileage racing, add a stage, shorten the race, whatever it may be, you're just going to see that the entire race, right? Which we've seen at some Daytona races and so forth. So there's a little work to do. But I appreciate you, man. I think you're such a great personality in our sport, and you're great at showing that and engaging with fans either in person or on social media and so forth. We give him a little hard time about the scooter gang, and the guy brings me. So I want to say this is a nod to your character. He asked me if I'm at Martinsville because he has a scooter he wants to give me, and I've kind of got an idea that's what's going on. We didn't connect at Martinsville, and so he brings it over to Junior Motorsports, and I brought that home, and me and Isla and Nicole have been riding around in the yard because I didn't have a scooter. They had scooters, and so you've added a cool little new addition to my kid and my kids and our lives. I appreciate you. You're you're a part of the story here at Junior Motorsports with your history with us, and we love to see you have success, man. Thanks for giving us some time today. I know it's a busy week for you. Every week's a busy week for the Cup drivers these days. Thanks for giving us a bit of your time, and good luck going forward.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned it. Thank you. Yep, scooter gang made it to victory lane. How about that?
It sure did. All right, buddy. We'll see you, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Tyler's a great dude. I like the person that he has grew into. When we got to working with Tyler in the Xfinity series, just an incredible talent, really, really, really good behind the wheel. And he was growing up, right, maturing, becoming a man. And he gets into the Cup series, and he's, he engages on social media. He has his own opinions. He shares with fans what he likes, doesn't like, what he thinks, what he appreciates. And he's not vanilla, right? He doesn't sort of, he doesn't disappear. He's out on the racetrack, but you also know he's part of the sport, which is it's a good value for us, good asset for the series.
He's out of all the drivers, I think, in the Cup Series, he's always given me the time and always been courteous and
he is approachable.
He's very approachable.
Right?
Yeah,
I like that too, especially for somebody in your side of the industry.
Yeah, I was interviewing him at Daytona once, and he saw these fans up, like how the fans can overlook the garage, right? He's all the way down at the hauler, and he's like, hey, someone give me a Sharpie. I'm going to go all the way up there and sign for those fans.
That's cool.
And it's like, you don't have to do that, but he did it. It's cool stuff.
Easy to root for.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep, I agree. Well, I don't like keeping them guys too dang long, but I was kind of wanting to ask him about, as you're coming toward the end of that race, and then the anticipation is building. This was the same back when I was racing. The chance of there being the crash right at the end on that last lap or last couple, you knew there was a big chance. The crashing, that chance of wrecks are going up. Chance of you being involved in that wreck is going up. We even today say you got like an 80% chance of crashing when you go to Daytona and Talladega. Whether it's truck, Xfinity, Cup, it doesn't matter. It's a pretty high percentage. I wish that percentage was lower, and it's not a scientific number. But as a driver, right, you've ran all day long, and you're coming toward the end of this thing, and you're like, I've got myself in a great position, but the chances of wrecking are going up. That is hard that is hard to stomach. That is out of your control, right? Usually when you're in a race car, you have a lot of influence over whether you're going to wreck or be wrecked. You have a lot. But at Talladega in that pack, you don't. And as they're coming to the end, you know the jump scare is coming. There's nothing you can do about it.
What do those closing laps feel like when you're in that position? Like, what's going on in your head? Is it nerves? Is it like...
hopefully you're busy, distracted by, trying to position yourself in front of the right car or get your lane moving or trying to figure out what trying to take advantage of somebody else's bad mistake. You're trying to stay busy and occupied and trying to be productive, that you're not thinking about, because if you start thinking about, dang, we're going to wreck, you're done. You're checked out. It is over. You might have that you might have that feeling coming down to the last lap like he did. He's sitting there going, man, I thought a race was over. I'm just going to try to get to the finish line and score some points. And then it gets dicey, and now they're wrecking. You just have to drive through those moments. But if 15 to go, 10 to go, and you start worrying about them wrecking or a wreck happening, it's hard to you're checking out.
And you can't do that.
Yeah. You're not productive. You're not thinking about how to move forward, how to win the race, how to do whatever you do in the next corner, in the next, it's hard. And then it's hard to plug back in with just a few laps to go. Oh, man, I don't miss that. Man.
I was going to say, that sounds so stressful, like that nervous anticipation, especially like when you're just riding and waiting for the move to happen, waiting for everything to build up. Like, I feel like each lap your heart rate would just rise even higher.
Yeah. I thought it was fascinating how the Toyotas, had they not wrecked, how that might have played out for them pushing the whole field to run harder.
Mm-hmm.
They basically came to pit road and said, oh, we're going to flip this race and change the strategy. We're going to run, seconds faster than the pack, and now the pack is in trouble.
Almost kind of reminds you of tire fall off in a sense, right?
Yeah. So, we covered McDowell's moves at the end. We covered Michael Jordan and all of that. Michael says that he loves it, loves the sport and competitiveness from it, but he doesn't love not being in control of what's happening. He feels, as an owner, I do that too. I'm sitting there on the box and I'm like, I love this, and it does drive I do want to win. And when we get close in races, you get sucked in, right? Very emotional and it's very thrilling. But you have zero control as an owner. You're not influencing in that moment, right? In the final laps, you're not influencing the success or failure at all. That's very foreign, I guess, for someone who's been in the game, right? And who's been behind the wheel. So the owner side of it, people have asked me in the past, when I first started getting in, when I was actually racing in the Cup Series, I would get that question a lot. Do you like being an owner or a driver? What's more nerve-wracking, right, when you're coming down to the final laps? And, man, when you're a driver, you're steering the thing. You're in control. When you're an owner, it's not in your hands. You have no influence. Now, you've got it there. You gave them the cars, but in those final laps, what happens is nothing you have anything to do with. And so when you win, it's weird. You win.
How's the feeling different?
Yeah. When you win, you go to victory lane. You're like, I didn't do anything, but I'm happy. I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna get in the picture, but I don't feel like I did anything today. Everybody else here did something, right? The fuel guy filled the full fuel tank full. Tire guy changed tires. Driver drove the car. Crew chief called the race. I'm just here. It's so weird.
Is this your subtle way of saying you want to be on the pit crew?
No. It's just weird. But anyhow.
I mean, you got the car there. Like you said, you did a lot to get the vehicle there.
Yeah.
But just nothing in the race. I understand, though. That's got to be a weird feeling.
Yeah.
You know?
Welcome to Ask Junior. presented to you by Xfinity today. Feels like a while since we've actually done this. Why does that feel like that?
Well, live we had some
issues.
Tech issues, but hopefully we are back.
Well, we're excited to be back, and thank you, Xfinity, for everything you do. You can get great speed if you're using Xfinity Mobile, the fastest mobile service with 5G and millions of Wi-Fi hotspots around the country. And with its nationwide coverage, you know that it's always going to come through in a clutch. And you can make the switch today and save with Xfinity Mobile. Xfinity is a proud premier partner of NASCAR and a great partner here at Dirty Mo Media, so we're thankful for them. And we've gotten some great questions. We had a great show already today. Tomorrow, Casey Atwood comes on the show. Haven't talked to Casey in forever. Can't wait to see what he's been up to and what he thinks about his racing career. Here he's still running some laps somewhere these days, so can't wait to hear about that. But all right, let's get right to it.
People in the YouTube chat are saying hello. They're excited to be live. This first question coming from Twitter from Katie. What's your opinion of the front stretch interviews versus Victory Lane?
You know, I work in the networks now, and so as a fan, I probably wouldn't love the front stretch interview as much. I liked the driver going to Victory Lane and that being where we saw them first, right? Because it's weird to me. They get out, right? They're animated and we see them on the front stretch, and then they go to Victory Lane and they're animated all over again, right? A whole nother experience there. Probably fine for them either way, but the thing that going to Victory Lane and doing the winter interview there, often gave us the chance to get second or third place, right? Get a little bit of a post-race built up. I see a ton of race fans in our, in our social media begging for more post-race. And so I feel like that, the move to the front straightaway was twofold. It was to get the drivers very early initial emotion in a very, very cool space, right? Right there with the fans and the flag stand and all of that. But also, it's to get that interview out of the way, right? So the networks, if necessary, can move on. They can, and I hope that I don't love or hate the front stretch interview, but I do wish we had a bigger post race immediately, right? Right after on the same channel. Don't change channels. Don't go somewhere else. Hey, go to if you want more interviews, go here. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Let's have the post race everything. Give me about 30 minutes. I think you should interview the top 5 guys, and see who finished in the top 5 and hear from them. And that would be cool. Not really answering the question, but I don't love it or hate it. I like seeing the driver in Victory Lane. Victory Lane is a place it's kind of like the score and Pylon, right? We talk about we talked about it earlier in the show about the score and Pylons. Yes, they're expensive and they break and they're obsolete and the old ones have to get removed, but they're kind of part of the sport, part of the history. And Victory Lane Victory Lane at every racetrack it's a very important space, right. And so I want to see the winner there. That's where they're trying to go, and that's where they're going to see their team and owners and. So build that space, right, so that you want to have the interview there, right? And some of the Victory Lanes do, right? There's a lot of fan access for some of these Victory Lanes. Talladega has a bunch of fans around.
Phoenix is a good one.
Phoenix is another good one, really good one.
I like Martinsville, too. It's right on the front stretch.
Yeah.
Everyone can stick around and see. Do you think any of your wins, like your post-race interviews, would have been different if you were interviewed on the front straightaway versus in Victory Lane?
I do because, when you win the race, everybody's different. For me, when I won the race, I could not wait to see the team because I drove their car to win, and they made the car that was good enough for me to win the race with. I got to see Tony Jr. I got to see Tony Sr. I got to see Steve Letarte. Great guys. I want to go to be with my team. First, that's all I want, right? See Amy. And so that front straightaway interview is like a hurdle to that. Now,
sometimes they meet you out there.
Listen, that's true. You win the Daytona 500, it depends. You win a big race like that, you might park it on the front straightaway and get out because you were like, I want to feel that energy from the fans. I need that. Victory Lane's too far away. So you might, it just has its place.
Yeah.
Maybe the Victory Lane, maybe the front straightaway interview is particular to the track, right? In the moment, the size of the moment.
Yeah. I love it. We're talking about winning. We're having fun. This next question is coming from Jerry. What is the most heartbreaking race loss that you've had?
Gosh.
Way to bring it down, Jerry.
Yeah. Come on, Jerry.
There's the one that got away.
I'll think of a dozen when we walk out of this room. But the probably two that jump out right away are the losing Talladega to Jeff Gordon when Vickers spun in the middle of the corner. I'm in the act of I'm side drafting the 24 and I'm going by him, no question, right? And the caution comes out in that moment, and they say he's ahead when we're in turn 3 and 4, and they threw all the beer cans at Jeff, which I loved. And he, instead of getting up by the fence, I've talked about this on the show, but instead of getting up by the fence so the cans would not hit the car, he pulled farther away from the fence so they could get it over in there. Man, they were full cans bouncing off this car. Boom.
You got to be pissed to throw a full can of beer. That's
I was so angry, that this is back when it was new for races to be decided in that way.
That's right.
This was, you're sitting there in the car and they're like, "Yep, Jeff was ahead when the caution came out." And you're like, "Well, where on the track were we when you decided the race is over? And how could you be so precise to say, yep, that signifies the moment?"
It's like you didn't even know how you lost.
I know. I didn't know how I lost.
Was that to continue your streak? Was that like
I think it would have been 5 in a row.
Yeah, I thought so.
And then we go back and win again. I think it would have ended up being like 6 in a row total. The other one is the loss to Joey Logano, same thing, right? Get the restart. I'm going by Joey.
Where's this?
Talladega.
Oh yeah.
2015, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going by Joey. I've got him.
Oh yeah.
And there's a wreck behind me, and they're like, "Field's frozen." I'm like,
I've got one I remember watching, and it was the Coca-Cola 600 where you ran out of
"Oh,
gas.
great! That's another great one, right?" I want to win. I wanted a points win at Charlotte. Grew up in the area. Been going there as a kid all my life. Never missed a race at Charlotte. No points race win for me in Xfinity or Cup. Just that All-Star race.
It's that close. Right?
Come out of the gate, win an All-Star race. You're thinking, home track, Charlotte. I'm going to get me some trophies here. Nope. Not for me. So, yeah, that's another one. I think getting passed by Harvick with like 10 laps to go at Martinsville one year, that was a tough loss. I did not do what I needed to do. I could have adjusted. I remember this, right? This is how bad this stings. I didn't adjust the brakes. Like I don't know if that would have mattered, but I'm sitting there. I'm getting looser and looser on entry, and he's coming, and I could have like
done something.
Damn it. So
way to bring us down, Jerry.
It's good. It's good to talk about this. Yeah. Does it matter? Yeah. Does it still matter? Yes.
Will the sting ever go away?
No, I don't.
No.
Why should it?
No.
If it does, then did it ever matter?
I guess that's a great point. That's a good way of looking about it.
This thing
shows you that it mattered.
Yeah, it's fine that it matters. I want it to matter.
That's a country song. Sting Still Matters or something like that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm saying it should
Oh,
be.
we're writing it.
I don't think we need to write that song.
I think we're going to write it right now, actually. This next question's coming from Cole. You know, we have the 99 bottles of beer on the wall for the, brushing the teeth.
Yeah.
Are there any other good, like, parenting lessons that you've had come across recently?
I can't think of one. I mean, that I hate being put on the spot because it's tough to come up with that. But man, I don't know. Not really.
Even like okay, then this is like a somewhat of a follow up, but like any lessons you can tie from racing to life that you've, because like you sometimes have to explain why a driver loses. Like I know. You and Isla are watching just an all-guy race.
I mean, the personal stories about the personal stories about being a father, being a good dad or a bad dad, or making mistakes and all that. Those are, I'm going to throw them in the personal notes, and I'll bring that to the show, being asked on the spot, like, what's the new life hack?
Everybody's Slaytondale.
Yeah, it's like it's not the way it works.
Okay.
But I'm trying. I mean, I'm trying to think of. I will say.
It's all right. You can come back with some more.
I've got something specific about that. I was watching a TV show, and one of the characters, their kid was having nightmares. What do you like? What's a thing that you do with that? Is there anything like? You talk to them or stay up with them? Or?
Dude, I got a video on my phone a couple years ago. Isla had night terrors, and she would wake up in the middle of the night, and dude, it was freaky because I got this one video, and she gets out of her bed, and she's pacing in her room around her bed, sobbing, and fast.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll go in there and wake them up. Or you'll go in there and calm them down, right, and get them back in the bed, and they'll go right back to sleep. And they'll get up in the morning and not remember none of it. And you're like,
it's like sleepwalking.
Yeah, you're like, dude, how do you not remember that? Like, they weren't awake. And Kelly's son Wyatt has these night terrors where he gets up and he's walking around the house, and it's freaky. So, Nicole doesn't have these. At least she doesn't yet. Nicole just got out of the crib and into a bed where she can crawl in and out. So we're dealing with that. She's learned, hey, I can get out, right? The first couple nights she slept in that thing, never come out of it. Now she's like, you'll say, no, shut the door, read a book, right? Shut the door, turn the light out. And you can just stand there. She's up the door. What are you doing? You're out of bed already.
Yeah, I'm bored.
Yep. She's like, hey, I'm not, get back in bed.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
You're going to sleep.
Yeah. But the 99 bottles of beer on the wall is no longer working.
It's not?
No. It worked for about 2 or 3 nights.
Dang.
Gotta find a new song.
Yeah.
That is disappointing to hear. I'm taking a peek here at the YouTube chat. This next question coming from Blizzard. I think that's their username. Any good? We were talking about Michael Jordan throughout the show. I know you've interacted with him a handful of times. Like, what was it like meeting him and talking to him?
Yeah, I was. He came to Homestead when Denny was racing for the championship one year before the 2311 existed, and it was a big deal. Everybody our bosses at NBC were clamoring to figure out how to get to him and get an interview. He's here. He's at the race. We got to get him on TV, right? And can he talk to us? So they kind of threw me in there, and he said, yeah, I'll do a deal with Dale. Nice. So I'm like, wow, right? I'm in early stages of my broadcasting career, and I'm thinking, what an incredible opportunity for me.
Yeah.
This is like getting the call to drive for Rick Hendrick, or getting called to drive somebody's car. You're like, what a great chance, And so I don't know. I hesitate to go back and look at the interview now because I was so green, but I leaned into just being excited and giddy about the opportunity to talk to him. He was super cool. Stepped out of this motor coach. We did 2 or 3 questions. Thanks. Appreciate it. We're glad you're here. And so that was probably that was a cool moment. A long time ago, I guess maybe 10 years ago or more, I was still racing. Michael came to Charlotte to one of the races, and my buddy Sean is a huge fan and has all the shoes, right? And so I told Sean, I'm usually not a thoughtful, caring person, but I said to Sean, I said, hey, man, Michael Jordan's going to come. I know you love Jordans. Do you got a pair that you would love to get autographed? I will ask him to sign them. It's my mission. And he gave me this really unique pair in this special box, right? And he's like, these are the ones. And so I take them to the driver's meeting, and soon as they announce that the meeting is over, it's like a mad dash, right, to get to him. Everybody, right?
Dang, everyone has the same idea.
And I just pushed all the way up through there with my box, and I'm like, Michael, and he saw me, he goes, hey, and shook my hand, and I said, I really got to get you to sign these shoes, man. These are my best friend's shoes. And he signed them. And so I hate to ask for autographs, but it was for Sean. And so that's really the only 2 interactions I can recall that I've had with him. And so pretty neat, though. I mean, if he's going to, he's a successful owner in the sport. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. And it's pretty neat seeing what the impact that's had on the sport this week.
What was Sean's reaction to, like, you giving him the shoes back? You're like, look at this. I did it.
Yeah. I think he's happy.
Yeah.
Very thrilled.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Awesome stuff this week on Ask Junior.
All right, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Good to see everybody again. There's a lot of things that we talked about in this show that you guys are going to want to make sure you hear. We talk about the summer stretch. We got some pretty cool stuff happening for us here at the Dale Jr. Download. And again, Casey Atwood comes in for the guest segment for tomorrow. And that's it. Thanks for tuning back in. Thanks, Xfinity, for everything you do. That Xfinity Mobile 5G hotspots everywhere. It's good stuff. Won't ever let you down. And Xfinity's a proud premier partner of NASCAR. Thank you for everything you do for Dirty Mo Media. All right, so Tampa Tim's is at the desk. We're going to talk about Dirty Mo Dough, dropping every Thursday on our Dirty Mo Media platforms. You don't want to miss it. If you want to, if you want to gamble, place some bets. Obviously, going to hear some great advice, and Steve Letarte and Tampa Tim's and those guys are going to tell you some of the things they're thinking about for the upcoming race this weekend at Dover. But also, honestly, man, I think the show provides really, really good insight on handicapping the field, on who's going to be good, who should be good, right? You hear some really, really important statistical information that might help you understand who the front runners might be this coming weekend. So I think the show serves multiple purposes. But Tampa Tim's, you cashed out on Logano this past weekend.
Yeah, that was kind of the strategy going in for Dirty Mo Dough, was to kind of try some new things. And Logano was pretty aggressive at these tracks usually, and he likes to lead all the laps.
So what's the initial bet?
For him to win, for him to win the
race.
race.
I know, but how much?
I placed $10. Mm-hmm.
And so at what point in the race are you thinking you're going to cash out? Do you have a plan, like, hey, man, this gets to $12, whatever?
Yeah, after stage 2 was kind of where it should have gotten to a profit. Now, I didn't really see a big profit one, but I got to a point where I just cashed out and I said, I'm done with this bet. I think I ended up just breaking even. Just
no kidding.
Making $10, yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, a lot of people, I asked on Twitter if they got a good option. People were like, no.
You were feeling that he wasn't going to pull through and win the race, so it was time to bail.
Yeah, I bailed because the strategy was to bail, so I just kind of kept through and said, okay, I'm fine with even money. If I lost 50 cents, just cashed out, enjoyed the rest of the Nashville trip I was on. But I think the books got smart at Talladega, which kind of backfired on our strategy. But that's fine. We just tried something new. It didn't work out. Next time it might work out differently.
So that's an interesting thing. I think do you think as NASCAR gets deeper into this sort of, into the betting, now that North Carolina's opened up where NASCAR really lives and breathes, do you think that as popularity in gambling and sports betting rises in NASCAR, you see a difference in how the sports books are setting the odds.
You know, I have seen a little bit of a difference the past
especially,
month or so.
I guess, at super speedways.
Yeah, I have. I mean, I've seen them adjust drivers faster than they did in the past.
Right.
You know, Josh Berry had a good 2-week run at the short tracks, and the next week he was adjusted tremendously.
Really?
Yeah, and it's still great value. You're still making money if it was to pull off, but they adjusted him, and I've seen that it's a lot faster.
Think about that. Josh Berry starting at the back of the field, you make a bet for him to win, and then maybe, with 10, 15 laps to go, you cash out.
Yeah.
What do you think the bet would have been on $10?
Ooh.
Joe Logano's a favorite,
yes,
right? So when cashing out and getting 50 cents when he's in the top 5,
probably would have got a good offer to cash out, because that's a big.
You get a higher offer, right?
Yeah, because the
he's
higher
such
the
underdog, right?
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to pay all that out. They'll still give you a decent amount. So yeah, that could have been a good one too.
But if he doesn't ever crack like the top 15, you're never going to have the chance to cash out and make money.
That's a loser. Yeah. I've seen people just cash out and take a loss, but not as much of a loss.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Because the race is over, it's all gone.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Damn.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like. So let's say. I mean, what was Reddick's odds? You remember?
Logano's?
Reddick's.
Oh, Reddick's? Oh.
Race winner.
He was, I don't remember exactly, but he was probably, the favorites were plus 1,000, right? Yeah. So anything from, I think he was maybe 1,200 to 1,800.
Damn, those are good odds.
Yeah, they're good. They're not bad.
For the favorites?
Yeah.
Plus 1,000?
Because there's so many. I mean, it is a good week to try to even place a bet on the favorite too. But yeah, but picking the winner is like a crapshoot.
Sure. Especially there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what's the plan for Dover?
Well, we're hoping to get back on track. The last 2 weeks at Dirty Modell were a little tough, a little unpredictable races, to be honest with you. So nice to get back to a more maybe predictable race. I'm looking at guys that are going concrete tracks. The professor's got his predictor, so I'm sure he's got that dialed up for Thursday. Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, 2 guys that come right to mind for the outright win. Martin Truex Jr. as well. He's great here. So we'll see what the odds are on those guys when they come out.
Really?
Yeah. Larson's always going to be there, but he's always going to be a favorite.
Yeah.
That's my prediction for how the odds will come out.
Okay.
But so we'll try to maybe target him in a matchup.
Who's your underdog? Who's somebody you think it could sneak one out? Ooh. What about a Bowman?
Bowman, yeah. The books talk about not adjusting a driver. Alex Bowman, they have not adjusted really when he's ran well. So
you see him stealing one at Dover.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Hendrick should be fast in general.
Yes,
so that's a good bet. I like Josh Berry too. I haven't done the math on if he's how he did in the Xfinity series.
He raced there in the Cup Series, and he did win in the Xfinity Series. So
yeah, that just seems like a track. If I'm going off just blank knowledge of the sport, I feel like he would run well at.
So if you're a very conservative gambler, maybe if you're not trying to hit a big number at the end of the day, putting money down on Bowman and cashing out when he's sitting there in the top 5 or the top 3 in stage 3 might be
not a bad strategy.
Not a bad strategy.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I'm very intrigued with watching
the live betting aspect of this is so interesting to me.
It's stressful to watch, but
it is.
I like watching to see what the number does, because it's brand new. I've never done that before.
Right.
It's fun to see what the books will offer you at different tracks, at what point, how high you can run up. Like you said, if he's running top 5, can you cash out? Yeah. It's interesting. It's worked some weeks, hasn't worked some other weeks. So
10-4, man. Well, good luck. I hope you get it turned around for Dover.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll see you, Tampa Tims.
Thank you.
All right, it's the White Flag. It's time to talk about the teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi. Those guys dropped already this week. Great show. Every single week, man. Such great insight from them. I've been watching a lot of the clips you guys are pushing out. Jeff and Jordan, not only do they have their opinions, but I love that they're true journalists, man. They're going to dig and get the facts and give you some great information. You do not want to miss the teardown every week. Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin's out as well. Door Bumper Clear, those guys off the rails as usual. And dropping tomorrow, Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden. We talked about Dirty Modell with Steve Letarte, Tampa Tims dropping Thursday, and DJD Reloaded also out on Thursday. Last week, Carla and Andrew, they talked to NASCAR's Elton Sawyer about the current state of practice. Man, we got into a conversation about practice. I said we needed more. Chase Elliott said, no, we're fine. We don't need more.
That's what inspired the show.
Yeah. And then, I wonder what will inspire the show this week.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got a few ideas.
Okay. Well, it's been great. DJD Reloaded. It's kicking butt every Thursday. That's it. It's been a lot of fun here Tuesday. Tomorrow, again, Casey Atwood comes in, and we're excited to see him finally. It's been a long time since I've talked to him. He was eager to come in when we asked him to come on the show. Should be a lot of fun here in the Bojangles Studio. We'll see y'all.